The Xari Dominion had known 1,000 suns, conquered 100 worlds, and dictated the flow of commerce between empires older than Earth's continents. They prided themselves on elegance. Every word weighed, every gesture calculated, every treaty line carved with the precision of a blade. When the Galactic Trade Council announced that a new species had risen to interstellar relevance, a species from a blue-green world called Earth, the Xari were curious but dismissive. Primitive, they said, brash, unpredictable, too young to understand the art of interstellar negotiation. Still, humanity's technology had advanced faster than any recorded race. Their drive systems efficient, their colonies thriving, and their communications filled with what the Council described as emotion. So the Xari prepared a delegation, led by Ambassador Thalen, a seasoned negotiator who had signed peace between warring empires and outmaneuvered pirates with a smile. The Xari expected cold professionalism, a data exchange, contract proposals, perhaps a ceremonial meal in sterile chambers. But humanity had a way of breaking expectations. When the Xari diplomatic vessel, the Silver Mantle, entered Earth's orbit, the first transmission they received was not a request for docking clearance. It was music, a strange, vibrant rhythm poured through channels, drums, strings, human voices singing in a dozen tongues, full of joy and defiance. Their translator unit struggled to categorize it. Nonverbal communicative art, purpose unclear. Thalen frowned. Are they announcing war? No, Ambassador, his aide replied. It appears to be a welcome. Moments later, a holographic transmission appeared. A smiling human woman with bronze skin and calm eyes. Welcome to Earth, honored guest of the Dominion, she said, the words perfectly translated. You come for trade. We offer friendship first. Friendship, a curious word in Xari diplomacy. To the Dominion, trade was about power, leverage, advantage, hierarchy. But these humans spoke as though equality was assumed. The Silver Mantle descended through Earth's atmosphere, guided by human control towers. Outside their windows stretched vast oceans glittering beneath a golden sun, cities like constellations of glass and steel. They expected militarized zones or tight protocol. Instead, they saw crowds, humans waving flags, holding signs in countless languages. Some read, "Welcome friends from the stars." Others simply said, "Hello." "Are they cheering for us?" one aide whispered, stunned. "Yes," Thalen murmured, "and that terrifies me more than guns would." The landing pad shimmered with banners and colored lights. No sterile corridors. No sealed chambers. Instead, open skies, tables, and food scent. A long, white-clothed table stretched across the welcome platform, laden with more dishes than Thalen had seen in a royal court. Steaming breads, fruits glowing with syrup, roasted meats, bowls of bright colors, spices so thick the air itself tasted alive. A human stood at the head of the table, wearing both a diplomat's pin and a chef's apron. "Ambassador Thalen, she said, bowing slightly. "I'm Envoy Lila Carter of the United Terran Coalition. Welcome to Earth. We're honored you came." Thalen blinked at the apron. "You are the negotiator?" She smiled. "For tonight, I'm the host. Negotiations come after dessert." The Xari delegation exchanged nervous looks. Thalen whispered to his aide, "This is irregular. Everything about them is irregular, sir." They were seated, awkwardly at first, among humans from every continent. Translators hovered between them, whispering meanings. Before any speech began, the chef envoy raised her glass. "In every culture," she said, "trade begins with trust, and trust begins when we share what sustains us. So tonight, before numbers, before terms, we share a meal." Thalen didn't understand. He was trained in contracts, not cuisine. But when the humans began to eat, laughing, passing dishes and offering bites, he found himself curious. A plate was set before him. Small golden grains, soft bread, a sauce fragrant with warmth. He hesitated. The human beside him, a military officer by the insignia, noticed. "Don't worry," she said with a grin. "No poison, I promise. Just curry. Mild, probably." Thalen's second eyelids flickered. Confusion mixed with disbelief. Was this humor? During diplomacy? Still, he took a cautious bite. Heat spread across his tongue, alien, rich, full of life. It was not unpleasant. His aide followed suit, then blinked rapidly, colors shifting on his skin. Ambassador, this is astonishing. Across the table, humans shared stories of their worlds. Mars colonies, lunar cities, oceans reclaimed from pollution, cities rebuilt after wars. They did not hide their scars. They wore them like medals of endurance. When Thalen finally spoke, his voice carried both curiosity and caution. This is not how most species begin trade. Envoy Lila smiled. That's because most species start with what they want. We start with what we are. Hours passed. The sun dipped, lights rose, and the feast became something more than a meal. Human musicians played soft strings and drums. A hollow screen displayed imagery of Earth's history. Not sanitized propaganda, but honest remembrance. Floods, fires, wars, and the rebuilding after each fall. The Xari delegation sat in silence, awed. They saw a species that clawed its way from ruin not once, but countless times. A species that turned every disaster into a story of survival. When the last course was served, a shimmering dessert that sparkled like starlight, Lila stood again. Ambassador Thalen, she said, we are grateful for your visit. Tomorrow, we will discuss terms and trade routes. Tonight, we only ask that you understand who we are. Thalen nodded slowly. And who are you, Envoy Carter? She gestured to the sky. Above, 100 satellites shimmered in formation, and behind them, the faint outline of ships in low orbit, their engines glowing softly like guardian stars. We're the species, she said, that believes peace is worth defending. The Xari delegation stared upward. Their senses confirmed. Those were warships, sleek, efficient, silent. Not hostile, not aggressive. Simply present. One of Thalen's aides whispered, they hold a fleet above their own planet, even during peace? Especially during peace, Thalen murmured. Lila saw his expression and added gently, don't mistake our kindness for weakness. We share what we have because we fought too hard to lose it again. For the first time in decades, the ambassador of the Xari Dominion didn't know what to say. This humanity, these unpredictable, warm, smiling warriors, negotiated not with threats, but with honor wrapped in hospitality. The feast ended in applause, and as the alien delegation was escorted to their quarters, Thalen turned one last time to see Earth's flags fluttering beside the Dominion's crest. Two symbols side by side, equal height. He realized then that the humans had already begun the negotiation, not through words, but through gesture. They weren't just offering trade. They were offering trust. And trust, Thalen knew, was the rarest currency in the galaxy. That night, the stars above her seemed closer. And in his personal log, Ambassador Thalen wrote, the humans are unlike any I have met. They disarm with laughter and defend with conviction. Their diplomacy begins at the dinner table and ends, if needed, with the fleet above. The morning after the feast, the Xari delegation expected to be summoned to a negotiation hall. Instead, the humans invited them back to the same garden. Tables cleared, sunlight warming the grass, birds darting between trees. The same place where laughter had replaced suspicion now served as a stage for something deeper. Ambassador Thalen stood beside Envoy Lila Carter as service drones set out tea, fruit, and notebooks instead of weapons or datapads. Is every human negotiation held outdoors? He asked, half amused, half skeptical. Only the important ones, she replied. The stars can watch us this way. Thalen's attendants unfolded holographic scrolls filled with trade routes, mineral indexes, and tariff ratios. They were ready for numbers and leverage, but humanity, it seemed, had come prepared for connection. Lila gestured toward a projection hovering between them, a glowing sphere representing Earth, surrounded by faint blue trade lines extending toward Mars, Titan, and beyond. We know what you seek: energy crystals, medical bioflora, and access to our fusion network. We want what you offer: stable hyperspace gates, faster communication nodes, your Dominion's expertise. The terms can be balanced easily. The relationship cannot. Thalen raised a brow. Relationships are fragile. Profit is measurable. She smiled softly, and yet only one of those endures a storm. A human server approached, carrying a tray of steaming cups. "Coffee," she said. "Our second most traded commodity after trust." Thalen sniffed the dark liquid, wary. The aroma was strong, almost aggressive. "It smells dangerous." "Exactly," Lila said, laughing. "You'll love it." The Ksari sipped carefully. The flavor hit like a solar flare, bitter, deep, alive. Several aides twitched. One muttered, "It's like swallowing turbulence." But Thalen found himself oddly alert, senses sharpened. "It burns," he said. "Most good things do," she replied. Around them, conversation bloomed. Scientists from both species exchanged schematics. Engineers compared theories. The translator drone struggled to keep up as laughter overlapped equations. The Ksari began sharing their own delicacies. Translucent cubes of energy gel that shimmered with stored starlight. When the humans tasted them, their eyes widened in delight. "You can eat light?" one Marine whispered. "That's cheating." Thalen chuckled, the sound dry and genuine. He had not laughed among diplomats in years. By midday, discussion turned serious. Trade values, resource rights, transit lanes. But the tone never soured. The humans debated fiercely but fairly, willing to compromise, unwilling to deceive. They didn't bargain like predators. They built like engineers. When Thalen tried to hint at the Dominion's usual expectation of tribute or deference, the human admiral seated nearby merely folded his arms and said, "You'll find we don't kneel easily." There was no threat in his voice, only a calm assurance that Earth would trade, as an equal or not at all. Lila turned the moment with ease. "Ambassador, you misunderstand. Humanity does not seek dominion. We seek partnership, the kind that lasts longer than ships or signatures." Her words held no arrogance, only conviction. Thalen's second heart beat a little faster. Partnership. The Ksari rarely used that term. To them, cooperation was a stepping stone, not a goal. But these humans spoke as if shared strength was a sacred vow. Later, as the sun set again, the feast resumed, smaller, quieter this time. There was no ceremony now, only conversation that moved easily from culture to philosophy. A soldier asked Thalen about Ksari art. A scientist shared recordings of whale songs. Someone played a violin, a sound so hauntingly beautiful that even the stoic alien guards lowered their weapons and listened, between sips of coffee and bites of glowing fruit. Thalen began to understand. The humans were not performing diplomacy. They were living it. He realized how subtly they had shifted the ground beneath him. The Ksari had come expecting to measure humanity's worth in profit. Instead, humanity had measured theirs in empathy. By the time stars began to pierce the evening sky, Thalen looked up and saw faint lights moving across the horizon, orbital ships gliding like watchful constellations. He recognized them from a night before. "Your fleet remains above," he said quietly. Lila nodded. "Trade brings opportunity and danger. We protect what we welcome." He turned to her. "Is this display meant to remind us of your strength?" Her gaze softened. "It's meant to remind ourselves of our responsibility. Peace doesn't protect itself." When the feast ended, the humans brought out one final gesture, a small flag folded in blue silk. On it, the Earth emblem and the Dominion sigil were embroidered side by side, stitched with gold thread. Lila placed it gently in Thalen's hands. "Not a treaty yet," she said. "Just a symbol, a promise that tomorrow, when we speak of trade, we'll be building something greater than profit." Thalen stared at the fabric. It was not binding. It was not law. Yet it carried a weight no contract could match. For the first time, the ambassador felt a faint spark of something the Dominion had nearly forgotten: hope. He folded the flag carefully, bowing in the human way. "Tomorrow, then," he said. "Tomorrow," Lila agreed, as he walked away beneath the glow of Earth's twin moons. Thalen Var understood what the Ksari reports could never capture. Humanity's strength was not in its fleets or its weapons. It was in its ability to make strangers feel like allies before a single credit changed hands. The following day began not with negotiation, but with invitation. A message arrived at dawn, encoded in the soft musical tone the humans favored. Ambassador Thalenvar, the United Terran Fleet requests your presence in orbit. There is something we wish to show you. The Xari delegation exchanged wary glances. Was this a display of power? A threat draped in courtesy? Thalen, seasoned by decades of diplomacy, sensed otherwise. When humans offer show rather than to tell, he said, it is never mere spectacle. Prepare the shuttle. The ascent through Earth's atmosphere was quiet and breathtaking. Below, the planet curved like a living gem, oceans gleaming, continents veined with light. Above, a silver lattice of ships awaited, motionless yet alive with energy. The fleet hung in orbit, like a constellation carved by human hands. Carriers, exploration vessels, medical frigates, even cargo haulers, each one bearing markings not conquest but cooperation. Their hulls bore dozens of banners. Earth's blue and green stand alongside those of Mars, Titan, Europa, and colonies unknown to Xari. Thalen's sensors counted more than 100 vessels. Yet not one had its weapons powered. This is, he whispered, almost reverently, not a war fleet. The human admiral who met him aboard the flagship smiled faintly. Correct. These ships are guardians, not conquerors. They stood in the observation bay, glass stretching to infinity. Through it, the stars gleamed, and amid them, the hum of human engines echoed like a heartbeat. The admiral gestured toward the formation. Every ship here carries both food and fire, she said. Relief pods beside railguns, medics beside marines. We learned long ago that peace cannot survive unless it has protectors. Thalen studied the data scrolling across his wrist hollow. Your fleet spans 5 colonies, 3 moons, and multiple nations. Who commands it? The admiral chuckled softly. No one. We vote. He blinked. Vote? On military command. On everything, she replied. When humanity reached the stars, we realized we couldn't afford old divisions. So we built our fleet like our homes, shared, balanced, accountable. Thalen's frills twitched in disbelief. The Xari Dominion was ruled by hierarchs and hereditary guilds. Democracy in the military was unthinkable, yet the harmony around him was undeniable. Officers of every heritage moving as one, decisions made with quiet precision. He turned back to the viewport. Why show me this? The admiral's voice softened. Because trade is more than exchange. It's trust. If you trade with Earth, you trade under our protection, not our control. We want you to see that our strength exists for our allies, not over them. They moved through the ship's corridors. In one hangar, Thalen saw human engineers repairing a damaged vessel. Not a Terran ship, but a vessel marked with another species sigil. Refugees from the Arden cluster, the admiral explained. Pirates hit their convoy. We offered safe passage. Another bay held crates labeled with alien scripts. Food, medicine, reconstruction materials. Everywhere Thalen looked, he saw evidence of humanity's paradox. Warriors who built hospitals, soldiers who sang at work, weapons beside gardens. You've made charity an instrument of statecraft, he murmured. Call it what you like, the admiral said. It works. As they returned to the bridge, the earth rose beneath them, blue, bold, unyielding. Thalen watched in silence until his aide spoke softly. Ambassador, they could have shown us firepower. Instead, they showed compassion. He nodded. And that is why they're dangerous. The admiral turned to him. Dangerous. Thalen smiled faintly. Because kindness that's strong cannot be bought, only respected. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then the admiral extended her hand. A human gesture Thalen had learned during the feast. Then respect is our first trade, she said. He clasped her hand, the gesture awkward but sincere. Agreed. Before departure, the humans granted one final view. The fleet in formation, engines igniting in synchronized brilliance. They moved not as an army, but as a promise written across the stars. A message flashed across the comms. Every flag aboard represents a friend we've helped, a world we stood beside. If the Dominion joins us, yours will fly there too. Thalen felt something rare stir within him. Pride, perhaps, or belonging. He imagined his people's crest among those colors, seen by millions across the galaxy. As the shuttle descended back toward Earth, the ambassador recorded a brief log for his superiors. The Terran fleet is not a weapon to fear, but force to admire. Their strength is the armor of their kindness. Their command is consensus. Their unity is terrifying in its beauty. And as the ship broke through the clouds, Earth's lights reflecting in his eyes, Thalen whispered to himself, "Perhaps the Dominion has found not competitors, but companions." The final day of the delegation's visit dawned beneath a sky streaked with silver clouds and early sunlight. Earth's atmosphere, Thalen thought, seemed alive, always moving, always changing, just like its people. The Xari delegation had been offered the honor of finalizing the trade agreement in a ceremony held at Unity Spire, a slender tower overlooking the Atlantic. It was neither fortress nor palace, but a place of open glass, where the ocean's reflection met the stars. As Thalen and his aides approached, they saw both species' banners fluttering side by side. The human flag, blue and green, the planet's colors, and the Xari emblem, a golden sunburst across black. No guards lined the path. No weapons gleamed. Only citizens, human and alien alike, filling the terraces with song and curiosity. For the Xari, treaties were quiet, sterile, hidden from public eyes. But for humans, everything, even peace, was a celebration. Inside the spire, a great table of crystal and steel awaited. Holographic projectors shimmered with trade routes, alliance terms, and shared research goals. Lila Carter was already there, dressed this time not as a chef, but in formal Navy uniform. Her diplomat's badge caught the sunlight, and beside her stood the admiral who had shown Thalen the fleet. "Ambassador," Lila greeted, bowing. "We prepared the final charter. Trade, mutual protection, and cultural exchange. Equal footing, no hidden clause." Thalen smiled faintly. "Your terms are generous." "Our terms are fair," she corrected gently. "That's rarer." He touched the hollow display, reviewing the articles. Resource sharing, emergency aid, unrestricted travel between Dominion and Terran space, protection of merchant convoys under combined fleets. It was everything the Dominion had hoped for and more. Yet beneath it all, Thalen sensed something deeper, an invitation not merely to trade, but to belong. Before the signing, a human child, perhaps no more than 10 years old, approached carrying a folded piece of cloth. The crowd hushed. Lila knelt, smiling. "Go on," she whispered. The child unfolded the fabric. A new banner, larger than either flag that had flown before. It bore Earth's colors and Xari sigil intertwined, encircled by a golden ring of stars. Thalen's breath caught. The symbolism was unmistakable. Two peoples bound not by domination, but by shared light. "This is," he began. Lila nodded. "The emblem of our alliance. You asked for trade. We offer partnership. We raise this not as conquerors or clients, but as kin." Thalen's secondary heart pulsed faster. In Xari culture, the merging of crests was sacred, reserved only for oaths of eternal trust. For humanity to do this, publicly without demand, was both audacious and profoundly respectful. He turned to his aides. "Record this moment," he said quietly. "Let the Dominion see what the stars have not shown us in 1,000 years." The signing began. Each representative pressed a glowing seal into the charter, the holographic light, binding it across both empires' networks. When Thalen's turn came, he paused, looking up at the sea of faces, human, alien, hybrid, curious, hopeful. Then he signed, his mark glowing gold beside Lila's blue. The crowd erupted in cheers that rolled like thunder through the glass tower. The new flag was raised, its colors catching the wind high above the Atlantic. For the first time, a symbol of two civilizations fluttered together, not as rivals, but as partners in the vast arc. Later that evening, the Xari and human delegations gathered once more for a quieter celebration. No grand speeches, no protocols, only shared stories beneath the glow of evening stars. Thalen watched as human children tried on Xari ceremonial scarves, laughing when they tangled themselves. Nearby, Marines and alien guards compared songs of battle and survival. Lila joined him at the balcony. "Do you ever wonder," she said softly, "what the galaxy thinks of all this?" He considered. They will call it naive. And you? I will call it necessary. They stood in silence for a moment, gazing at the horizon where the ocean met the stars. You've changed more than trade routes today, Thalen said. You've changed meaning itself. She smiled. We just did what humans always do. Share what we have and guard what we love. As the fleet shimmered above them, engines tracing lines of light across the night, Thalen made his final entry into his report. The humans negotiated not through dominance, but through warmth. They feed you before they test you, trust you before they tax you, and protect you before you ask. We sought commerce, we found companionship, and perhaps, in the end, that is the rarest trait of all. When he finished, he looked once more at the flag, half blue, half gold, rippling beneath the starlight. He smiled, and for the first time in his long diplomatic career, felt something like pride for a world not his own. We requested a trade agreement, he whispered to the night, but they gave us a feast, a fleet, and a flag.